Welcome everyone to our weekly webinar, Solle Changes Lives. I'm your host, Debbie Perez-Cockburn. I love being with you weekly. Just a little note of housekeeping here. No one on our panel is a doctor. We don't diagnose or prescribe. What we do, however, is share good advice on natural health using our products of choice, which is Solle Naturals line of products, which is an adaptogenic based line of products. And so we usually have 3 sections on our webinar every week. We have a section for testimonials at the beginning, how Solle has changed someone's life. We have a product information section, which is usually headed by our CEO and one of the founders of Solle Naturals, Mr. Greg Halliday, who this week will be giving us an update on some of the things that were shown to us at convention. And so I'm excited about that. If you didn't have a chance to be with us at convention, it was awesome. And then we usually do a section of how to make your soul shine brighter. But this week we are just shortening our webinar. And so we will have a quick testimonial. I want to show you a picture that I received, and then we're going to turn the time over to Greg. And then since this is the first week of September, this will be our product meeting that is recorded. And next week, we'll have a session with Greg Halliday. Also, it will just be a question and answer section. So please write down your questions and submit them to me via Messenger or via WhatsApp so that we can get those ready and Greg and I can answer your questions as best as possible. But next week's webinar is not recorded. Then the 3rd Wednesday of the month is when we do our business recording, and then we will do a follow-up with question and answers the week after that. And in the months that we have 5 Wednesdays to deal with, we'll figure out something to do with the 5th Wednesday. But in the meantime, I just wanted to share with you a quick story. One of my dear friends in our success line had a customer show up and said to her that she had a lump in her breast. The girl had a biopsy done. The lump was deemed to be benign, but the lump continued to grow. And actually, if I had the original photograph, the girl's breast looked like 2 breasts in one. And so Olga told her to continue the program, right? Because her the lump that was detected in her breast was benign. So it was not cancerous, not dangerous to her. And she continued to use the product. Now, Olga told her, you know, your body naturally tries to cleanse itself and get rid of toxicity. And don't be surprised if that happens using our line of products. And so this girl used the package known as the Primary Balance, and she added a extra product called NeuroIM to her program that she was using. She'd been on the program about 1.5 months when she was told that the growth was benign. And then at the end of the 2nd month, she sent a picture to Olga because just as Olga told her, the growth was trying to push out of the body. And so I hope you can see, I'm gonna try to get the right angle here. Can everybody really see that picture? That's what the breast looks like right now as after her body started getting rid of the toxicity. She said that there was a little bit of blood, but mostly a lot of pus and stuff that came out. And so the body is starting to heal. We're looking forward with a lot of joy to the next photos of her as she continues to do the program and see her progress. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it's really interesting. Most people think that if they're going through a scary event, that they have to have something scary happen to them, where your body really always is looking for stability or homeostasis or looking for balance. And this, in fact, is what happened. So I noticed that her breast in the picture was a lot smaller than it looked in the original that Olga sent. So I hope to get more pictures for you, but I really wanted to share that story because it's exciting to me. All right, I'm going to turn our time over to our president and CEO, Mr. Greg Halliday. Greg is a personal friend, but he's also a great business associate. We've known each other for about 30 years, and we worked together previously, and that's how we know each other. I'm so excited to be an independent distributor for this company and be able to work with my brother and friend again, with Greg Halliday. So Greg, welcome to our webinar. As usual, we are so happy to have you here with us. And I asked you to speak about some of the things that were presented at convention that are new and exciting. I know everyone is excited to hear. Last week, we talked about why the four products, the four foundational drinks are so important to our health. This week, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about what's going on at our manufacturing plant in Utah. And then also, if you happen to have a bottle with a flip top, could you show us that and show us what those are going to be looking like? And I'm just excited about the 180 count. So I'm going to let you tell us what's going on that's new and exciting at the company.
You bet, Deb. And good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you. Great to be here for a few minutes. This is my favorite time. It's a lot more fun than doing office work, right? And I do love to hear how lives are changed. It's why many years ago, I became just enamored with this industry, and I decided sometime, I don't even remember, early on, I decided this is what I always want to do. Maybe it was the same with you when someone shared it with you. Today, I get to share what Blake announced at convention. And I do have a bottle with a flip top lid to show you what they look like. That was one of his announcements. But let me jump to his slides. Let me know if you can see those okay. Okay, so I think we showed a little bit of this last week, helping each other find the great things that we all have inside us and helping others see that. I think people need to see that nowadays. There's a picture of Blake. He's doing super well. He would probably come on sometime. I know it's so hard right now for him, but in a few weeks, I think he probably would come on sometime, Debbie, and he can do an even better job than I can because he every single day oversees the quality. So he announced this new Connect spray. You probably already know about it. I highly recommend it. And I think, I'll just give you a little heads up. I think next week in the live stream that the corporate office does, I think they'll do a special too on this Solle Connect spray. It is a really good antiviral, fungal. It really can be used in so many ways. It's a pretty good sized bottle, the 2-ounce size. Really happy with it. And so I think it's something that people right now could really use. Blake showed us the picture of the new 100 counts. The reason we did these is it gives people a savings. They save about 10 to 15% when they buy this size. So that's, once you're using them and you have more than one person in your house, it's a good savings. We put them in the bags now because the bags seal better than the boxes. We use natural flavor, so your flavor stays even fresher. That's why we changed them into these bags. These are the 180 count labels that Blake announced. They just look like our regular bottles, but they're just bigger. And you can see we're starting with adaptable, Vertizymes, and Sulflex PI. We'll probably add some others as well to this big size. The whole reason to have a big size, it's additional. We're not discontinuing the small size. We continue with all of the sizes, but we're adding the big size, and it will be, I just saw yesterday all of the final numbers. They'll be an 11% savings. So when a person buys the big size, they'll actually save more than 10%. It's actually, I think, like 11.5 or something, the number comes to, that they'll save. And these are products, adaptable and Vertizymes and PI, that people use in quite large quantities. They will also have the new flip top lid. And if you can see on my camera, it's the same black lid, but it does have a flip top so that you don't have to take it on and off every time. These are good lids that we've tested for quite some time. They seal, they have the same seal and everything else. So they are available today, probably any time now. Blake, I just talked with him about an hour ago. I noticed Hope was checking in with him when she could put on the website these announcements. So they'll be available this afternoon, so you can look for those. Blake wanted to spend a little time at convention on one part of quality. There are so many parts to it. One part is what happens with raw materials from the moment they come in the door. So this is what he presented at convention. He kind of just went through for people who maybe are hearing it for the first time, and it's a good review for all of us. What happens with the raw materials? So first of all, before they ever get shipped to us, we do have to select and clear suppliers. We have very strict specifications. We buy the expensive raw materials. You can buy cheap alternatives. Of course, even in our industry, you can do that same thing. But we buy the expensive ones. They all come with a certificate of analysis. Most people know that, but we don't just take their word for it. We require them to present it because then they will do their work, but we also then do the same tests from a separate laboratory on all the items that you see in the slide. So in the case of raw materials, we look at the identity of the plant, the purity, and any microbials. The test that is used to identify the exact plant is called near infrared spectroscopy. So Blake talked about that a little bit. It is the industry standard for that. We do that in an independent lab with a group of researchers who we have known for 30 years. So we have a high degree of trust in them. Then we do the microbial testing. You can see all of those things there that are tested for. And then he shared an example. This is the part of the analysis. It's a big long sheet of paper. This was 1 week before convention. I think he told me 13 different raw materials arrived that week. A typical week might be a few. That was a bigger week because of some of the projects of the new 180 count size. And also we were also doing a new longevity batch. And longevity has alfalfa extract, or I believe it does. Am I thinking of the right one here? Yeah, it does. Longevity also has alfalfa extract in it. So this shows you everything that happened from our independent lab, and you can see that everything is as expected. Our standard, by the way, is much higher for heavy metals. There's a national standard, and then if you've heard of Proposition 65 in California, that's an even stricter standard, which they don't use with their own products in their own state, by the way, but they do enforce it for out of state. And our standard is much slower than that. Our raw materials have a 10th or 100th less heavy metals than any of the California standard. And the reason for that is we use extracts. When you use a quality extract, you have much lower heavy metal. So then after a raw material passes all the tests, we use it. We start to blend it. And that's why Blake showed the in-process testing, because we do make sure after all the blending happens, no microbial was introduced into the product. So the materials are clean before, then they're processed, and then they're tested again. And here's an example of one of those tests from Solflex PI. So Solflex PI is one of them that are available now, will be available today in the 180 count. So this is why an additional batch was being done. And you can see this is the test. And it ended up being obviously perfectly clean. So the next announcement Blake announced was, or that he mentioned at convention, is that he has built 6 new clean rooms. A clean room is a manufacturing area that has special finish and special sealing, so that in some cases, even pharmaceutical grade manufacturing can happen in the clean room. In our case, one of our operators of a brand new machine, which I'm going to show you a picture of in a minute, she came from a pharmaceutical company. And she was very excited when she interviewed, because she said, your clean rooms are nicer than at the pharmaceutical lab that I just finished working at. It's a certain, Blake used, and we used stainless steel walls. You don't have to do that. You can use special paints on drywall. He actually used a special material in the walls that lasts much longer and maintains a moisture barrier much better. And you'll all get a chance to see this coming year. If you'd like to, I want to invite you to come out to our leadership summit. It is in Utah next fall. And we are going to plan a formal tour. So you'll all be able to see every one of the sections of the manufacturing facility, if that's what you'd like to do. So they are the best in industry. The reason for that is we have brand new machinery, and obviously machinery keeps advancing in its quality and in its capability. So we have the latest machinery. We do that. It helps us maintain costs in a better position. One thing that COVID and a lot of the changes in government have caused a lot of inflation. There's a lot of political talk about that. We don't get involved in any of the political talk. We just look at what people are paying and what we pay for shipping and supplies. And it is true, those prices have gone up. So it's been a great investment for Solle and Blake to bring all of this new equipment. It's the perfect time. I think Blake had good foresight. He started working on this 18 months ago. So this is before all of this happened. In fact, it was even longer than that for the first clean room and new machine. So you'll see the machinery, and I'll show you a couple of videos to kind of finish out today. But I want you to know that in between every batch, it actually is cleaned with alcohol. All the machinery is entirely cleaned and disassembled prior to every new, and then reassembled prior to every batch. That is not always typical. You'll see very common in the industry, herb powders. They simply take high pressure air hoses and blow them clean. And you can actually get all of the dust away. We do go one step further, and we alcohol cleanse all the stainless steel parts of the machines and disassemble them and reassemble them. That takes one extra day. It takes a whole day to do that for a machine. But we believe strongly we don't want any mixture of formulas. We want to keep everything clean. And then we do swab test and check for microbials, all equipment prior to use. So of course, this is the way we were raised, let's say it that way. We've always been involved with good quality products. There are some advancements now that let us be even better. So here is the new encapsulating machine. I think Blake announced that at the convention. Just to give you, it's kind of fun. He'll show you a video of this working. Just to give you an idea, do you know a machine like this now can encapsulate 1.2 million capsules per day in one shift? If you were to do 2 shifts, you could do 2.5 million capsules. That is how advanced. So the pictures make it look kind of small. It's actually a very big machine, and it is fully self-contained, so that all the powders come in. They're not wasted, as in the older machines where they get cleaned off, and sometimes they'll get brushed into buckets and reinserted. This machine, they all stay sealed, and so they don't get wasted, and they get reused without having someone to touch them. So here is, let's see if he's got a video now. So you have the blended herb powder in this white sack that's called a super sack. Suction pulls the herb up to the top of the machine. You can see where it enters. Before, you always had an employee scooping it and pouring the herb. Now it is done without anyone touching it. And then it works into this, what I told you, this amazing encapsulator, which is very, very fast and will encapsulate 1.2 million into a day. And then it's put into a stainless steel bucket, and then the lab technician fills another barrel, which is where we keep them until we bottle them. So that's just a quick picture of what the encapsulator looks like. Once they get bottled, here's a picture. Now this is our Solle Megas product. This is the bottling line, and Blake shared this. This is the next step. It is quite complex. It is a very large room. This is Blake's, what he calls his crown jewel, because it is state of the art. And I'll let you can kind of see that this is, they call it, I think it's a bottle end scrambler, he calls it. It will look at the direction the bottles are going, flip them into the proper direction, and then set them right side up. This is a 7-lane filler. which is much larger than anything we've ever had. And I'm talking about in the prior company where we were. This machine is just the latest generation. So it allows us to do what used to take us 2 or 3 weeks in another company, we can do in a few days. So that's the benefit of progress in machinery. And these are the omegas, plant-based omegas coming down, and they fill into the bottle. They're actually, it's pretty amazing how that all happens. They're sent down a belt where they're weighed. And if you can see this, not only is there a magnet detecting any heavy metals, which we know aren't there because we've already tested them, but we still do it, but it weighs them on a scale. And if the weight is not sufficient, it kicks the bottle off and it will not continue in the process. Then the bottles go through a lot coating. They get a lid put on, they get the seal put on, and then they go into a labeler. You can see this is the SolleChangesLives label coming out. And then following that, you'll see it drop down the top seal, which is your tamper evidence seal on the lid. This is that station right now. See the little plastic that it drops down over it. And then later on, that plastic will get, it will be heated around the lid to seal it and then collect it in the bin. And then just before convention, we were doing a batch of adaptable. So here you can see in the same machinery now, here's adaptable. That was done for the 180 counts, and we also did a regular batch. And you couldn't see right here, but the employee that was collecting them was actually my daughter, Savannah, who works down there with Blake. So anyway, that's just a little peek. From time to time, Blake will give you a little view into the quality process. This was what he shared at convention. He'll share some other studies later on. One very interesting study that maybe we can share in the future, Debbie, was a report that Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews took to Southern Virginia University. And they studied the Renew drink. And they did a study which is publishable. They hope to see it published, and there are certain professional magazines that are health related. Dr. Allison's very familiar with this because she was at Yale and published many articles. And she was also an adjudicator of articles submitted for publishing. So her top assistant, his name is Orion, came to our convention and reported the results of the Renew study. And in that study, they found that the most common response of college-age students who drank Renew was that they could feel lower anxiety within 20 to 30 minutes of drinking Renew. And that was the most common response. The next most common response was within an hour. They could feel it. And then the study also showed that if they kept drinking Renew over time, their anxiety in general got less and less. So that's another example of quality work in the company, doing studies with the formulas as well, so that I think people can maybe open their eyes and have the confidence to bring that nutrition into their lives. All right, Debbie, back to you.
I love that. That if you guys haven't had the chance to look at the section on the website that's called Our Philosophy really touches on a lot of these points that Greg mentioned in his presentation. One of the things that we see when we look at the philosophy of Solle is, I know that for me, I know Greg and I know a lot of the vendors that are used, and so I trust them with a lot of things that I just I don't question at all. And I know, Greg, I know that you were going to ask Blake something today. I don't know if you got a chance to ask him about the gluten question, because that's mentioned in Our Philosophy. You know, if you look at it, it says, and I'm not going to share my screen right now, but you know, we talk about it's gluten-free, no MSG, no soy, no
nothing artificial.
Nothing artificial, and no nuts in there, no peanuts or anything that will cause allergens. Could you, I know we've been getting the question a lot lately about certification on gluten-free. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, our products have always been gluten-free. I will tell you, there are certifications for everything nowadays, and they're money makers for these different organizations who go in and they charge a company every month, and they really just try to make money. And the companies like ours, we have stricter standards than theirs even. So in other words, we're doing more than just gluten-free. We're also doing, or organic is another one. A lot of people want to see organic, but organic can be poor quality and still be organic. So we believe in doing more complete quality, not just certain popular aspects. I did ask Blake about gluten-free, and he said that actually our whole facility is certified gluten-free, just so you know. But the way it works, you certify a facility, and then you can certify every single product. And then you can go and say with every single product, then Solle Naturals. So what we've always said is, rest assured, we are gluten-free. We have chosen not to go and spend money on all these different money makers. Now I realize maybe that's just me being a little bit stubborn, because I don't like that people, I don't like that they all tell part of the story, but they want to charge a bunch of money, and they really don't mean everything that people think they mean in terms of quality. I want to have a full quality. That's why we have the Solle Certain. But maybe I should, and as president, maybe that is something that we could do. So I'll talk with Blake some more. But as I say, the facility is gluten-free certified. I think
it's certified non-GMO, and it's clean,
yes,
and it's higher than pharmaceutical standards, which is something that I totally appreciate in the
So it's just a matter of, I guess, if we want to put it on the product label. I think that might be the question. And so it is something we'll continue to look at. Okay.
Well, I love that. And I think our future discussions could actually be based on our Solle Certain guarantee. And we can talk a little bit more about each point on Solle Certain. So I would love that. And Greg, I love that you were here this week. You shared so much. Lightning round. It was so fast. I hope all of you were able to appreciate that video. That video means the world to me. Just if you could actually see how clean it was, right? Like you could see how wonderful that room looked. It's pretty amazing. If you've been through any kind of herbal or pharmaceutical manufacturing plant, they don't look that clean.
They're pretty clean, but they're not as clean as you'd expect. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
They have to keep it clean, but I was really amazed. And believe me, I walked through that manufacturing plant in another company quite a few times, and it was good. It was higher than a lot of other companies, but wow, Greg, when I saw this video, really, I'm so excited to come out for the summit next October. For those of you who don't know, we do a leadership summit every other year. It goes in between our national convention. So this will be a great opportunity. We hope that you will hit 5K during that time so that you can come, but you're certainly all welcome. If you're ever in Utah, just give Greg or someone at the home office a quick heads up and say, hey, I'm in town. I would love to see the company. I would love to see the manufacturing plant. And they will welcome you with open arms. So I know because I did it. Well, thanks so much, Greg. And I just want to thank everyone for participating this week. We love you. We love what we do. We love our Solle products. Keep sharing. The testimonies are real. Solle really does change lives. And I hope to tell you again my story at another webinar. I hope you don't get tired of hearing that, but I love what Solle has done for me. And so I thank you all for being with us weekly, and thank you for sharing. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.